We're going live. We're live. We are live. This is Senator Finance. And April 4th. And first thing we have today, we have a governor's appointment, which is Margaret Cheney to the Public Utility Commission. Margaret, come on up. Thank you.
Yeah.
Haven't seen you in here in a while.
Thank you.
I know it's good to be here. We're here more often.
Yes.
In another life, in another life.
It's all rushing back to me in good ways.
Those wonderful chairs.
Mhm.
But just wanted to give you a chance, and if you can send us a bio.
I did.
If you have it, okay, then
I
it's
sent
on
it.
our website.
Yeah.
And just tell us a little bit about yourself,
Yeah.
what your job is, and why we hope you want it.
Sure. So I'll go back to history, and as you implied, I was in the State House. I served in the House Natural Resources and Energy Committee, as it was then called, and I was vice chair. I served 7 years. I was elected 4 times. My district is Windsor Orange too. So Rebecca Holcomb was one of the people who succeeded me. And I was appointed by Governor Peter Shumlin in October of 2013 with what was then the Public Service Board. And in 2019, Governor Scott reappointed me. At that time, the law was changed so that a sitting commissioner could be reappointed or if without the governor and the judicial nominating board needing to go through the entire process. And of course, subject to the confirmation of the senator. And if you remember, you
I
were
do,
involved in interviewing me at the time. And so I was reappointed then, and now Governor Scott would like to reappoint me again. And the question probably is, why do I want to continue to serve?
Yeah.
And what I've been doing. So I put a little description of what the Public Utility Commission is in the document that's. And you all know because it's under your jurisdiction. We regulate public utilities, their rates, quality of service, and siting of any infrastructure that's connected to the grid, and that would include natural gas pipelines and these like that, and other utilities such as energy efficiency utilities. And at the time I was appointed, the state was really changing from the way regulation had historically happened, because historically it had been mostly regulated utilities appearing before us and utility lawyers, and they were big rate cases. The public didn't participate with that all. That changed, of course, with the advent of distributed generation and projects being located, sited all over the state. And so, sorry?
Cell towers got a.
Yeah, that's right. It was cell towers, it was then wind projects, even wind anemometers that measure the wind. And of course, lots of solar projects and other, small, different kind of technology diversion projects like farm methane, even food waste, hydro, of course, but hydro is mostly regulated by FERC. So, with all that distributed generation, we got many more siting cases. So it became the vast majority of our work. We still do these big rate cases, and those are getting actually more complicated because we've got multi-year regulation plans. We have pilots, innovative pilots. We had, for example, last year, Green Mountain Power wanting to spend big on zero outage initiative. So there's some out of the ordinary things in the regulated arena as well. But with the proliferation of these siting cases, the public became involved. And so we had more pro se litigants or people who were representing themselves. We had towns more involved. Of course, we preempt zoning. But if you have because anything connected to the grid is the greater good of the state is not about how it's affecting a local issue. It's more about how is it Vermont, are we going to continue to be reliable or going to continue to be cost effective, et cetera. So at the time I was appointed, I was working on all these things in the legislature. And I was responsible, like it or not, for the first standard offer program and the expansion of net metering. So when I was appointed, I was steeped in these things and understood them deeply from a legislative point of view. And also, you know, the makeup of the commission is 3 commissioners, a chair, of course, who's full-time, the 2 side commissioners, we were called members then, are 2/3 time. And we have a staff of 27, mostly attorneys, and some paid backup staff, the clerk, et cetera. So I believe you need different perspectives among the commissioners. I believe I brought that perspective, so that in contrast to most of the people there who were career regulators, they've been playing in the regulation, rate making, technical nerdy side of energy all their careers. I came in with a more Vermont perspective, I think. And that was important as the public became more involved. So I did things like we used to have public hearings that weren't preceded by an information session. So the public would show up and they'd want to know about the project. And our chair would say, well, we can't tell you about it because it's a contested case. And so we can't tell you about the project, but we want to hear what you think about it. So that was one thing I did first is having come from public service at this town level, school boards, that's all I have to say, right?
Yeah.
I thought I got our practice to change that now the developer and the department give an information session before we close it off and say, here we are, we want to hear from you. So they actually know what they're talking about. And another example is creating a lot of handouts so that citizens know how to represent themselves. How do you intervene? What if you want to comment? What are your responsibilities as an intervener, et cetera, et cetera. So trying to get the public more comfortable, more, make it easier for them to participate. And so you know how it is, when you're doing something, it's time to stop. Maybe phoning it in, or maybe we are a little bored. Well, I'm not there yet. So I wanted to continue to serve. I think I serve a role there that's important.
Thank you. And I know you were here a lot because this committee did the legislative. I don't know if Senator Hardy, you were here. I know Senator Lyons was here.
Senator Lyons was here. I don't believe Senator Hardy.
Yeah, I don't think
This is
so.
not overlap.
But we did, all of a sudden there were cell towers going up in people's
Right.
backyards.
Right.
And what was a highly structured judicial lawyerly system
Yes.
didn't work. And we
Mhm.
did, I think for a couple of years, did a lot of work and worked Commissioner Cheney to make that process accessible. And I haven't had any irate phone calls lately, so I think we succeeded.
Knock on wood.
Knock on wood.
That's good news.
Because we did find a way, but it took a whole
It did.
cultural change
Yes.
to bring that around.
And Senator Lyons was very involved in that as well.
Yes,
So it was a joint legislative public service board effort. We had a working group strategizing and then implementing various changes over the summer, and then there were 2 rounds of legislative changes. So it was a good partnership.
was.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe any questions?
Yeah. Thank you. It's nice to see
Yeah,
you,
good to see
Commissioner.
you.
First of all, thanks for your work, and thanks for the enormous amount of work that the commission did on the Clean Heat Standards report. That was a massive report, and Senator Beck and I have been working on some of the implications and fallout from that report. And also thank you for, I really appreciate your making the process better and more understandable for the public. And I think my constituents in Addison County who have been very vocal about the gas pipeline have benefited from the fact that the commission is more open. And I know you did recently, I think, have a meeting in Virginia.
Yes, last week at the Opera House.
Yeah, which I think is really helpful when you go to the location too. That helps people feel less intimidated and have it more accessible. And I guess I'm curious, and I know just sort of broadly speaking, given that the Clean Heat Standard kind of is not going to move forward, but, you know, I think all of us are interested in something. I know that report did have some recommendations, but more broadly speaking, what do you think the direction is, given the landscape we're in right now, that we should be looking?
Well, I can only speak for myself.
Yeah, I know that. You can't speak for the commission.
So I think my own feeling about the Clean Heat Standard is that it was overly complicated and overly expensive and would have had consequences on everyday Vermonters that I don't think we would have been happy with, we as a state. It was a bureaucracy heavy, administratively costly solution to what should really be deployment of work. So, direct payment of services that's my opinion about it. So I will say I'm sorry that it has slowed. That's my opinion.
Yeah, and that was very clear in the report, and I think nobody's argued against that at this point. Yeah,
there are some things that still need to be fixed if it's not going to go forward. And we've heard about it, for example, continuing to register fuel dealers, we are technically supposed to appoint a default delivery agent.
Right. I'm more thinking not about the Clean Heat Standard, but if we don't do something like that, which I don't think anybody's talking about still doing it, what are the options that you see are viable?
I think that, as I implied, a way to pay for direct services, and that means the funding. I personally, or just continuing to focus on incentives for even regulated utilities to deliver these services, which we do with Tier 3 of the Renewable Energy Standard. I don't think it should come out of the electric efficiency fund, which is one proposal that's out there right now, because there's still vast value to efficiency in electricity, and ratepayers. It's a policy, perhaps a difference in opinion policy wise, whether electric ratepayers should be paying for heating services. So that can be debated here, and you may come on one side or the other, but I wouldn't want to see the good work that's being done on electricity either, because at the moment it is the lowest cost. It's the dollar that delivers the most reduction in per dollar. It's the lowest cost form of reducing your electricity and your bill. So what is the solution? We said it in Act 62 reports twice, is we need to just find a way to raise more money to fund these services. And it's simple and it's not politically popular, and perhaps for that reason impossible to achieve, especially now when we're seeing energy costs going to go up with tariffs and other pressures. So we're in a conundrum really, I think it's LIHEAP, as you know, has just the entire Washington staff of LIHEAP has been fired. And so some people here are hopeful that they will get at least the 10% that is remaining to be paid to the state. People in law, I have an inside sources that think that, in fact, that 10% is in danger. I mean, there's nobody to disperse it. And so, yeah, it's, yeah, I'm sorry, I can't give you.
Yeah, no, that's okay.
Wait.
And your answer is entirely consistent with what we heard from Ed, so that's
Okay.
that's totally refreshing.
I think it points out that all things are in flux right now.
Yes.
That
Yeah.
things that we are discussing is very important. May turn out to be a lot less important when we find out that next year that people are going cold because there is no subsidy out
Yeah.
there.
And the energy costs, the energy burden has just gotten worse.
Yes.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Mhm. Especially in the unregulated fields. Yes, and that's not anything we can control. That's so much of our inputs are of that sort.
Any other questions?
Thank you so much for your service.
Thank you, thank you. I really
Thank you.
appreciate you coming here, and it's so good to come to one, just talk about these things, and I appreciate your support.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the work.
Thanks.
Hey, maybe we don't. Rick, I mean, two. David. No.
Can I just say,
Okay,
no chance of getting them in?
well, I was going to say we could vote on this.
Oh,
Like people feeling ready. Senator Hardy spell.
I'm gonna make the motion while she's in the room or not.
I want to let her vote.
I mean, Miss Jane.
Oh, no, I don't want to vote while they're in the. We have voted one commissioner down once.
Was, we never did this.
No. No, we have one commissioner, of public service department. That we did not. We continue to supervise. So I wasn't surprised by the Secretary of Education. I knew that was going to happen. I don't. This one I don't think is particularly. I'm sure. Where'd you go?
she's up, they're out there chatting. I'll go give her the hook in a
I
minute.
was gonna say, tell her we're getting set to vote.
Okay. Will do.
She needs to be in here.
He's the bill we're looking at this afternoon. David Hawley.
Oh.
Oh, I'm sorry. I
No,
didn't
it's
see it.
not David. Pass that wonderfulness off to Rose.
We're gonna vote, so.
Okay, sorry.
Good to see her that much.
All right, we're all in the room. I would love a motion.
I move the approval or recommendation of Margaret Cheney for another term on the Public Utility Commission.
Okay. Senator Hardy has moved that we approve the appointment of Margaret Cheney to be a commissioner on the Public Utility Commission for a 6-year, right? Additional 6-year.
I don't actually know how long the terms
Is it
are.
on your voting motion?
No.
No? Okay, for whatever.
For whatever
term.
term.
For another term. Okay, is there any further discussion? Did you check how long it is? Yes.
Thomas, Google it.
Okay, we have this. For a term from and including March 1st, 2025 and to and including February 28th, 2031.
Cheers, wow.
And until a successor is appointed and qualified. All right, further discussion. If not, let's call the roll.
Senator Hardy,
Yes.
Senator Beck,
Yes.
Senator Gulick,
Yes.
Senator Verhoek,
Yes.
Senator Chittenden,
Yes.
Senator Meadows, yes, Senator Cummings.
Yes,
That's a 7-0.
okay. You wanna?
Yeah, that would be great. I can take my report out from the last time, update it. Because I think this one is a report.
This one
You
is,
see
yes,
that?
I believe this is,
Underlined?
I believe she's underlined. That's why we did, yes, we checked that before.
Yes,
I only interview people that are underlined.
thank you.
Yes, okay. All right, so we have got about 10 minutes till Rick shows up. No, you drop in the line. Four. David, we haven't been over this. Do you feel you can give your testimony and we can free you up before we go over it? Or would you rather make more sense if you waited?
Well, to be completely honest with you, I think you might be better off doing it the other way.
Okay, I thought I would normally do it that way,
Yeah,
but we've been told it's a very long bill and I didn't know how long you'd like to sit. It's what checks.
well, I wrote it, and.
Okay, then you can sit here.
So I can just hang out,
Okay,
Oh,
you wrote it, you get to sit.
Rick will be here.
Rick will be here in 5 minutes, so you can stand at ease. We can go offline.
This